Hello and welcome to Digital General's playthrough of the Belisarius campaign in Field of Glory 2. This is battle number 4, and we're just about to get started. So we did our deployment, we got our infantry line, we have our skirmishing bow cavalry, and we have our lancer heavy hitters with some skirmishing cavalry on the wings. So let us see what the Pendles bring to the field. And we also have a couple of units showing up later on as reinforcements. Okay, so this force looks very similar to the previous force that they've been fielding so far, which is essentially all the same. So they have a little bit of light javelin horse, and then they have armored noble lancers, which are superior armored lancer swordsmen, so these are quite dangerous. And there's more of them here, and more of them here, and this is Gelimer himself. A little bit of skirmishers, more noble lancers, superior armored, and more on this side. Yep. Their armory composition is certainly not that terribly varied, but I guess it works for them. So take a look from the side. How many stands do they have? So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I have 17 stands, and I'm facing them down with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 or 20 stands, which is not great for me because their forces are really superior. So if I look at the totals, I have almost a 2-to-1 numerical advantage because the infantry is a lot more numerous, but I also don't have too many superior units. I've got some above average units, and I'll have to be careful again. So what's our plan? So at turn 9, we should start seeing our reinforcements, but that's only going to be, I think, 2 legionnaires and 1 horse, one noble lancers. That's not going to change the, turn the tide of battle or anything. I think our plan has to stand. So this cavalry will probably come rushing in and can surround my infantry. So I'll have to be protective of them again. Do a defensive formation again. This cavalry force can skirmish, but not against all of them. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. So I might be able to take on about all of them if I'm clever about it, but I'll have to be careful. Now let's look at the terrain, because I think the terrain is where we'll need to be really playing to our strength. So rough ground is not great for cavalry. Marsh is very not good for cavalry. So the fact that my infantry is standing in open ground but behind rough ground is actually very good. But here it's all open ground, so that's not going to be helpful at all. Slingers in the rough ground is good, and I might want to pull my archers to the side. Now, fundamentally, I don't want to push my skirmishing infantry up front because the cavalry will just run them down, so that's really not useful. So I think I'm just gonna get them to basically reposition here. Maybe into the marsh. And they can stay in the rough ground. And these lights, there's another light. So yeah, these light horsemen will probably just cancel each other out. Why don't I move them up here to kind of support? The point is, I don't want to just go head to head with light versus light 101. It's not going to be useful. Although these are average and unprotected. They're javelins. I have bows. Yeah, I'd probably come up on top in this engagement, but I kind of want to also stack it in my favor. Now on this side, I do want to push my lights far out because they can basically skirmish with the noble lancers. And the bows, I do want to push them out, so why don't we get them out to the side. Right, you can see the rough ground actually slowed down their cavalry, so they broke up the formation a little bit, but that's fine. And lancers as well, let's get them out to the side, out of this rough ground as much as possible. And see if we can bait the enemy into the rough ground. Actually, that might be interesting if we can kind of set up here and have them come in and get caught. Infantry should stand. There's not much they want to do differently, so that's that. Let's see what he does. Let's see if he comes forward. Yeah, he's charging ahead, which makes sense because he has kind of a superior force in the field, so there's no point in waiting. Right. Now his light horse pull back. Yeah, let's just get my guy, my light horse here. Yeah, they can start turning and hitting. Oh, actually, they were hidden. I did not realize that. That's interesting. The marshes allowed them to be hidden. Alright, just doing a little bit of damage to these skirmishers. Alright, so here I like getting them on the flanks. Let's just turn them. They can move up, and we can just start numbering the enemy with some fire. I want to soften up all these horse archers, lancers as much as possible. Okay, let's pull them out. Yeah, can't turn. Oh, these are actually lancers. Right, this should have been part of the lancer group. That's okay. They can miss the support and the camels. Let's keep them away from my horses and I'm very much doing what I did last game apparently. Because the enemy is coming in with the same kind of a force, so basically employing the same tactics as before. Seeing how they worked well last time. Alright. Yeah, this is fine. I want to see how this develops. I don't necessarily want to push my guys too much further forward. Alright, that's that. Let's go next. What are you going to do? Alright, so yeah, the light cavalry comes in. The heavies are starting to engage with my horse. This is good, because now there's a small force that I might be able to just break before the rest of the army kind of realizes what's happening. Yeah, that's the commander-in-chief. Okay. Cool, so what we want to do is see if we can actually break or disperse some of the, not disperse, disorganize some of these units with heavy bullfire. Okay, they're starting to test. They held firm. Now, if my archers push up here and turn to face the enemy, they will be getting a flank charge from these lancers, so I do not want to do that. So, yeah, let's see if we can. Perfect, disrupted. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to see. And okay, so these bad ones, let's get them. They're pretty quick, so let's get them facing the right way. They have now, these archers. I think I want them to be. Yeah, I should be able to crush these two units with all of these forces. So why don't I get these archers to be pushing up here and annoy cavalry. Now, I should be able to turn. Yeah, they're light. Perfect. So I just kind of withdraw my light horse and just pepper them. And I'm trying to concentrate my fire. So now that disrupted one, I'm going to see if I can disrupt this other unit. Obviously not in this turn, but in general. Now, let's see. What do we want to do here? So, Byzantine Lancers and the Lancers. What's the difference? Oh, okay, these guys have nice shields. Right, so the Byzantine Lancers, sorry, the veteran Byzantine Lancers are like the Onyx style cavalry, so they have some bow. So let's push them in here and to disrupt them further. Now let's start working over the next unit. And meantime, let's get them to come in here and support. Now my camels are affecting my units a little bit. That's okay. Let's just get these Lancers to move out. Okay, so I'm trying to trap this little cavalry detachment. Hopefully he allows me to do that. Okay, now what I'm going to do here, do I want to withdraw? They have actually quite a lot of space to move in. So why don't we pull back a little bit and just shoot the general. If I can soften up the general, that would be very, very good, because if the general flees or gets disrupted, obviously that's a big hit on the morale. And so he's a 756 superior armored unit, so it's very tough, but with enough damage, it'll be good. I think I'm going to push my slingers into the woods. They can survive in the woods, and that should give them nice protection from the cavalry. So why don't we get them in there? Infantry holds. Now these fierce nomad horse archers, I don't want them caught up again in the same kind of madness that they did last time, where they were basically facing off against crazy odds and holding, but it was a bit of a waste of their abilities. So they should be able to evade. The light cavalry should be able to charge them because they're behind. If the lancers charge them, they should be able to evade. So why don't I just sit concentrating my fire and get Gelimir's bodyguard depleted. Alright, who else can fire? Oh, okay, actual bowman can fire. Yeah, that's fine. Let's yeah, perfect. Disrupted them because I believe that they have. They have a special thing, do they? Let me just double check. Okay, any light javelin horse shot by Roman auxiliary? Yeah. Cohesion test shooting. So I think they actually force the cohesion tests, which is good. All right, that's that for firing. So. We're drawing them into a little trap to hopefully rout these 4 units and see what the cavalry does and call it a day. Let's see how the rest of this goes. Okay, yep. He's coming in. He's trying to not get trapped. The king charges ahead. That's interesting and great. I'll just keep shooting him with everything I've got. This cavalry comes in. My nomads take a little bit of losses. Nothing too crazy, and I'll need to be able to withdraw. Oh, charged. And they were disrupted, so it was not too frightening for me, and I should be able to do a good job on the next turn. Okay, good. So before we do the left flank, let's do the right flank. It's turn 5, and I think there's 4 more turns before my little reinforcements show up. Okay, so what's going on here? We've got this engagement. Now these camels can't smash into them because who's blocking? Yeah, so this zone of control is preventing my camels from coming in here. If I tie them up in combat, that zone of control goes away. So that's interesting, so that's something to keep in mind. But actually, I don't think I'd be a flank charge anyway, because I think I'm not behind, so that's probably not worth it. Alright, if I just charge into them, I'll probably win the impact. But this is really horse archers being combat units. That's not what they're made to do. And yeah, I can't. Yeah, to charge them, I have to really take care of these armored lancers. So what I might want to do is set this up to put my cavalry in the flank here, tie them up, shoot them with bow, and then charge in to take care of these noble lancers while kind of dancing around these two units. And then I'll see where I want my light horse, if I want them supporting left or right. The archers are pinned in, so they'll have to withdraw and test for morale, which is obviously a little bit risky. And the Bedouin cavalry can come in, but it's not a good match because they're basically average protected versus superior armored, so they would probably lose this engagement, so that's not worth it at all. Yeah, both ends. So they're better as a flanking force. So let's see if I can do anything here. So if I come in here, okay, let's see if I can. No, I can't unfortunately turn. Alright, let's just cause some damage. It's a losing battle in the long term. It's okay, because I should be able to not have to do it for the long term. Now I can come in here and win this impact. This is an even better win of impact. Yeah, let's try to break them. Okay, let's have tied combat. And I will be winning melee next turn, so that makes sense to tie them up as much as possible. Yeah, push my lancers out here to potentially support against these two, because these units should be able to get routed in, especially if once my camels get freed up. So let's do that. Okay, so far they're holding on, they're tying, they are disrupted, and so they should start breaking soon. Perv, they lost, but they still have to fight firm. So they've taken quite a lot of losses, but they're still holding firm. Okay, so what do you want to do here? These are untouched as of yet. Move up my lancers, my Bedouins here to protect the horse archer flanks. They'll probably get charged, which would not be ideal. Okay, let's see if I can withdraw. This is a bit of a risk. Okay, they held firm. That's great. So now a bit of damage, and now I can park my lancers here. At the same time, I can get these lancers up here to tie them up. And I'm pretty sure these noble lancers will not be able to charge them in the back because of the archers. I think they'll be tied up at the zone of control. Half guessing, but I believe that's the case now. Can't charge here. And actually, it's not even worth really charging with the light cavalry because it's not going to cause a lot of cohesion anyway. So let's just turn base and do some more damage. Alright, let's start taking them down. Okay. Okay, that should resolve pretty soon. Okay, now this is about to get real, so what can my Bedouins do? Nothing. Jeez, I got them trapped again. That is I'm sorry, I thought they would have been able to pull out, and I'm going to lose them almost certainly because I was foolish. Okay, so let's do what I want to do, which is cause damage to the king. Let's get these guys out of the way. Oh, no, too much. Too far. Yeah, that's... I do want to be really... Okay, he's starting to test. That's fantastic. He's down quite a bit now in damage. Let's try these guys. We can actually move them up one and just some slinger damage because low cavalry is facing him, so they're safe. There's nothing that's going to come up, and they can always retreat into the woods if they wish to do so. Now my poor Bedouins. They really can't do almost anything. It's kind of tragic. They're going to get charged. They might be able to evade as long as they're facing the right place. They're facing. Yeah, I want to make sure that nothing's behind them. So why don't I turn them this way? Hope they'll be able to evade if something charges them. But it's not looking good. Not looking good at all. And yeah, no, I don't want to be charging the general yet. That's a little bit suicidal. Okay. Let's do a turn. Oh, they're rallying. Okay, this cavalry goes into the infantry. Now he's starting to move right to support. So I need to side that side quickly. The archers took impact. They're going to probably not do very well, but that's because I've got infantry supporting them. Perfect, my Bedouins evaded. And this is light on light. I'm actually feeling pretty good about this. Okay, good. Archers evaded. Fantastic. And I can use Belisarius to play this gap and engage this Lancer. Alright, they're losing their firm. Something fragment. Ah, thank you. Thank you, back, and nothing pursued, which is good, so I've got full. I can do it whatever I want with these. They didn't pursue in time. Oh, this little poor dead horse. Oh, Vandal horse. Okay, I think that's good for this turn. So, made a nice solid start to the battle. The main Vandal force came in and started engaging with my infantry. Took a bit of losses, but they engaged. Then Gelimer himself is now in combat, and here I'm trying to tie up and destroy this little side skirmishing force of cavalry so that I can engage the rest of the forces, and that's about it. So far, nothing fled, and I think that's good. Alright, see you next time.